Keanu is everything. He said that to me in person once. He's like, Alix, you are my everything. He didn't say that to me. I've never met him.
Look at you, all hot and bothered.
I think that might have been the first time I'd ever properly cried in the booth.
Don't. If you start, I'll burst into tears in the middle of the CIC, and that would be mortifying.
It was sort of the perfect job for me.
Oh, I'm ready for it.
I'm trying not to be too heavily invested in what was previously done because it's such a strong reboot.
You need to find him before they do.
I'll have to improvise.
Has someone got tissues because I might cry? Yeah, Dragon Age Origins was my first major audition.
You have torn Ferelden apart to oppose the very man who ensured you were born into freedom.
And I went up for it at a studio called Side, which is still going, and they record a lot of the kind of AAA video game titles. And I auditioned, and I'm like, I don't know what that was. What did I just do? That was kind of weird, but kind of cool. And then my agent called and told me I had it, and I was really excited. It's like being in a sandbox, right? You know, like we call it sandbox video games, you know? And I just got to play in this whole new medium that I'd never experienced before and meet really lovely people. Like several favorite moments. Romancing Sarah over the cookies, just because it was so freaking cute and sweet and lovely.
We're eating on a roof. They're horrible, right? And raisins. I freaking still hate cookies.
The very naughty stuff with Freddie Prinze Jr. is like burned into my memory. Bleach will not get that out, guys. Bleach will not get that out.
So why don't you show me?
Last chance.
Can one thing in this fucking world just stay fixed? Which came in the DLC, in the Trespasser DLC.
Could one thing in this fucking world just stay fixed?
But that, I mean, I might just get that put on my tombstone because I personally, as Alix, I love that line because it's just so me, because I'm such a doer and I'm so proactive and I'm constantly trying to, you know, make the world a better, fairer, more inclusive place. And so when I said that, can one thing in this fucking world just stay fixed, I really meant it and I felt it. And I think that's probably one of my favorite lines that I've ever recorded, ever.
Shit, damn it! We save Ferelden, and they're angry. We save Orlais, and they're angry. We close the breach twice, and my own hand wants to kill me. Could one thing in this fucking world just stay fixed?
You know, the Inquisitor's probably almost certainly 99% not coming back, to state the obvious. I feel sad even now just to think about it, because it's not just that I loved the Inquisitor so much. I loved the Inquisitor so much. And I loved all the supporting characters that she had in her party. And I made great personal friends on the projects, you know, that are still my friends, that have still carried over to this day. It was sort of the perfect job for me. That character encapsulates who I am, what I love, what I stand for in the world. I feel that the way that they resolved that storyline was done with such kind of tenderness and beauty. And, you know, I'm really quite good at speaking Dalish now, so...
I'll try Elven. Andaran Atishan Sadaran.
Reception to Vale Guard was kind of a bit...
I know. I feel absolutely devastated for BioWare as a studio that they got such mixed reactions to the game. I personally thought it was a really strong game. I thought that it was just BioWare kind of being more BioWare. I also think a lot of people, you know, kind of wanted to see it fail or wanted to see them fail, either because they're just really bad people on the internet, of which there are unfortunately many, as we have discovered, but people were attacking the game before it was released. It's ridiculous. How can you judge a game? How can you judge a game, a film, a TV show, a book, and anything before it's actually released? You can't. That's an idiotic stance to take. But I only ever want to see the folks from BioWare thrive because I adore them, basically. And whatever they go on to do next, I have no doubt that their talents will be richly rewarded. We're really lucky we'll get more gold from them in the future. I love Samantha, you know, she's really smart. She's brilliant at chess. My grandpa taught me chess, so I really liked that.
Is this space chess?
It's called Kapesh Yakshi, Blade of the Night Winds.
She's a brilliant representation of a lesbian in this kind of sci-fi world. And she's from London. And that was kind of a really big point, was when I was auditioning for her, I remember that. They were very like, she is a Londoner through and through. I was like, well, that's me.
This place is amazing. Puts the prefabs back on Horizon to shame. And it has a hot tub.
She has this really beautiful storyline, also hilarious storyline, I thought.
I wish to understand why you find my voice sexually attractive.
Oh, that was a while ago. I can't even remember what I said exactly.
She does.
Which is that they drop her in as kind of, romance bait. So you always think, oh, I can romance Samantha Traynor, I can romance Samantha Traynor. And then it turns out you can, just as long as you're femship. And I just loved that. I thought it was really cheeky of BioWare. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was quite cheeky.
Wasn't me. Evil clone.
But...
Just let us know when you're ready to save the ship.
I was confused about the toothbrush storyline initially, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, so I get the toothbrush is important, but it saves the galaxy. It did take me a little while to kind of get my head around it.
Pretty sure we broke Traynor's toothbrush getting the hatch open. Remind me to reimburse her for that.
The end scene where I separate from specifically Jennifer Hale's character, because if you've been in a romance with female Shep and Traynor, there's this really beautiful scene where I say, come back to me. I want my dream of the white picket fence and the children and the dogs.
Thanks for everything. Even if we don't end up with the house with the white picket fence and the 2 kids. Sorry. Stupid joke.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Which we all know is inaccurate because lesbians always have cats, not dogs. You can check that with the LGBTQIA community if you don't believe me. But yeah, it's the whole white picket fence and the dogs, and it was really emotional to do that with Jen. I just remember crying and being really quite upset by it. I think that might have been the first time I'd ever properly cried in the booth in character, and it was very moving. I was like, ooh, this has really got to me. And I think the last line was like, now go save the world again, or something like that. I can't remember, but it's a poignant scene. That last scene with Jen really choked me up.
Now go save the world. Again.
Forza Horizon was brilliant. Okay, so Forza Horizon is Holly Cruz, and their directive was she's from California, and she's probably kind of high quite a lot of the time. So I had this really kind of low Californian drawl, and it was kind of all really drawn out, and it was like, it was great.
So, someone once said that Horizon attracts illegal street racers like moths to a flame.
Really loved that. That was really fun. Just a fun game to pretend to be a stoned surfing Californian in the booth.
Can a leopard really change its spots? This is Horizon Pulse.
She's definitely one of the most fun, non-painfully dramatic characters I had to play. So I just remember her being really, really fun.
Oh, sorry guys. I was miles away there thinking about cruising around Red Rock while listening to that last one. That's the power of great music, man. I'm Holly. This is Horizon Pulse.
I don't know if they're still doing it. There was a lot to do with music and a lot to do with people sending their requests into the radio station and her delivering on that. And I just thought that was really fresh, yeah. There's a lot of really beautiful scenes between myself and Abu. He's one of my closest friends. I'm like, oh, I met one of my besties on that project. So there's a lot of love there for their storyline in general. I felt very proud to kind of be, Aya / Amunet / the mother of the Creed. I felt really proud of that.
I have killed Aya. I am now the Hidden One, known as Amunet.
Do I wish that Ubisoft had given her more life, more time, more space to breathe? Yes, of course I do, and I always will. I will always mourn the fact that Aya didn't have her real moment in the sun because she deserved it. Just as the mother of the Creed, she deserves it. She's so fundamentally important to the story of Assassin's Creed, and she's such a popular character. She's so liked. It would have been beautiful to see her given, I call it the juice, to give her more juice. But who knows, maybe one day in the future. I mean, obviously Assassin's Creed, they always tend to move on to the next protagonist, and I can't see them breaking that model anytime soon. But if they were going to, I would say Aya would be a great one. I would say Cassandra would be a great one. I think they've got some really cool, sexy options on the table that fans would respond really well to if they wanted to go in that direction.
And I was a god!
There is a new creed now.
Yeah!
just remember Sebille being so hugely sarcastic the whole time.
I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
Very directly aggressive or passively aggressive. And again, she was just a lot of fun to play.
She's got that list, right? And you've got you're
Yes.
knocking off all of the names.
Yes, that you want to kill.
And it really reminded me of like Arya Stark from Game of Thrones.
She is Arya Stark. I've said this you're like the only other person that's ever said this to me, but I've said this to other people. She's Arya Stark. She's 100%. She's got the knives. She's got the knives. She's Arya. I love Larian. I really, really love them. And I was so fucking thrilled with the success of Baldur's Gate for them. Like, what a meteoric rise to success. What a kind of overnight explosion. And it just felt right because obviously I'd done Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. And I knew that they had this other game in the works. And then it just kind of exploded. And I feel thrilled for them because they're good people. They're good. They're like BioWare. They're good people. And good people deserve to be supported and they deserve to make great games. Yeah. Love Amnesia Rebirth. By the way, I'm not just saying that I love all these games because you'll bring them up. I actually love them, but j'adore Tasi. J'adore.
What's that done there? He was here. He was...
So I went to the French lycée when I was growing up, which is how I ended up getting Tasi, because obviously I speak fluent French, so I do a perfect French accent, you know, of differing degrees. We can go all the way to here, which is like the comedy French, or we can be more in here where you speak better English, but you have your French accent, you know.
I remember telling him in Paris. The expedition. We nearly didn't come because it was...
I loved Tasi. I loved her whole storyline. I went mental in the booth. It was brilliant fun. Brilliant. Oh, I got them to stick a fake bump to me on my birthday. You haven't even asked me a question yet, but let me tell you. I got them to stick a fake bump to me when I was giving birth. I was lying down on the floor, legs akimbo. Sorry, guys. And I was said to the engineer, I was like, okay, bring the mic down. I'm on the floor. I'm ready to do screaming. And I was screaming so loudly because for context, she's not always giving birth to a baby. It can be a demon, okay? That's why I was screaming so loudly.
I'm not so sure about this.
The other studios couldn't record because I was screaming through the soundproofing. What was your question? I'm so sorry. I knew it was going to be massive because I knew who the studio were and I knew everything they'd done with The Witcher. So I was very, very familiar with the studio's work and I'd wanted to work with them for ages. I also knew that I was opposite Keanu Reeves the whole time. So that was mega, of course. And I could tell from the scripts and when I was working on it and recording, just by the volume of scripts I had, the length of time it went on for, the fact that it was almost always with Keanu kind of in the cans, I realized that she was going to have a really important place in the canon. Didn't realize that I was like the best netrunner in the whole of Night City.
Netwatch propaganda has been effective. Do you see me as a demon who requires a pact signed in blood?
It's quite a lot of pressure. I mean, if they actually met me, I'm quite a chaotic person. I'm smart, but I'm chaotic. So if you'd like to know how I got Alt's voice, because that's what most people are, I stood in the booth for days and went things like, Johnny, you need to control your anger issues. And that's a terrible American accent, but you know, it's like doing all this kind of Tai Chi breathing, basically in and out, and lots of swirly arm movements to lower my heart rate so that everything would sound very smooth. And I remember the big sex scene that they had was also my audition scene. So I kind of already knew that that was happening, but that was pretty full on. Yeah. Thank God that was not performance capture, because I think I would have turned bright red. I would have been a consummate professional, having like screamed in the toilet, and then I would have come out and been very professional. All those effort noises are my own, can confirm. After I learnt my lesson on Dragon Age Inquisition with the Freddie Prinze Jr. sex scenes, what I did was I was like, right, okay, everybody, turn off the lights in the studio, please. Yeah, turn them off. You don't need to look at me. Thank you. Lads, chairs around. Don't need to look at me. So I basically plunged myself and everyone into complete darkness. No one's allowed to look at me. It's my equivalent of the closed set, which I now, thank God, feel comfortable enough to ask for. Because also remember, by the time you're doing the revoice, you've got the images on the screen and you're like, well, What? Yeah, sorry, I'll go again, 1 sec. And you're like, wow, guys, you really went for it, huh? So there was a lot of that day. They are shooting Squadron 42 at Ealing Film Studios. This was like probably almost 10 years ago, if not literally 10 years ago, but it was a long time ago. And the producers are giving me a tour of the studio and the filming that's happening on the stage. And we're walking in the background where all the computers are. I see this guy in the middle of the floor in his PCAP suit. I turned to one of the engineers who I knew, a guy called James, a friend of mine, and I was like, James, who's that guy? Who is he? And he went, oh yeah, that's Mark Hamill. And I went, where would I know him from? He went, Star Wars, Alix, Star Wars. I was like, yeah, no, I've seen Star Wars, What? Who was he in Star Wars? He goes, Luke Skywalker, Alix. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Sorry. I caught up real quick on my Star Wars Squadron 42 knowledge after that. Yeah.
Just because you face death, don't start thinking you're invincible. You're not. We could all die.
The people I'm opposite are Henry Cavill, Superman, Gillian Anderson, Scully, Mark Hamill, who apparently is Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, if you didn't know, just so now you're up to speed. Gary Oldman and Mark Strong, like, just stop it. I just picked these names back up off the floor, sorry.
We will define ourselves through our actions. We will not lose the system. We will not fall back.
So I auditioned for that like quite early on in the pandemic, actually. And it was obviously no one was traveling anywhere, no one was seeing anyone face to face because it was all code named and dummy scripts and et cetera, et cetera. So that was in early 2020 that I actually got the job a lot later on, you know. And now it's 25 and that's where my story ends, is it's 2025, basically. That's kind of all I can say, but it's obviously amazing. How could it not be? It's amazing.
I had to lose everything before I could see.
But I'm trying not to be too heavily invested in what was previously done because it's such a strong reboot. Everything that anyone watching this would want to know about Joanna, the Xbox trailer that was released last June 2024, has a lot of information in there. I can tell you that. So if you watch it very closely, there's lots of stuff in that trailer that Xbox released that has lots of clues as to who Joanna is. As to who Joanna is. That's a full sentence. I can stop there.
If you like that video and you want to see something similar, why not check out our series called My Best Shots, where we get famous movie directors like Ridley Scott and Denis Villeneuve to share their favourite compositions from their biggest movies. And for everything else, be sure to stick with IGN.